I'm telling my friends to ooh woo in the car. They want to do a group ooh woo. They can't hear you because I got them coming out. I got you coming out of the headphones. But they want to do a group ooh woo.
All right.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Ooh woo. I pity the poor soul who has to edit that.
Yes.
I don't. They should be
Yes,
grateful.
the poor person who has to edit all of our videos. Oh wait, he's Dano.
All right, welcome to another mini episode, or as we like to call it, Espresso episode. Today we will be talking about tips, tricks, and also just ideas of when you first go to a dealer's room or artist alley. At the end of the episode, we'll have two of our experienced artists in our team, Mara and Zoe, who have actually applied for Artist Alley and have their own merchandise, so they will give you tips on those. To start off though, Dano is currently at our convention live, so he will be going about his experience in Philadelphia. Take it away, Dano.
About as live as a recorded podcast can get. I'm over at Too Many Games in scenic Philadelphia, or the urban sprawl that is Oaks, Pennsylvania, about 30 minutes outside of Philadelphia. And this is a convention that I've been going to for a long time. I'm very familiar with the layout of the marketplace and the vendors, the artist alley, and everything that comes along with it. This is not my first convention, not by a long shot. But it is one that's very special to me, and I'm able to take this from a position where I have hit the artist alley / marketplace today and yesterday, being Friday. Today is Saturday at the time of recording, and there are a couple of little pearls of wisdom that I can impart on listeners and anyone curious. The first one being that Friday is a day that is commonly associated with people just kind of getting a feel for the place and understanding what vendors might have, understanding what artists are, what's in their inventory. And at a convention of this size, which is about 5,000 or so people, the thing I've learned on this Friday was get what you want if you know what you want it right away. Because there is a very good chance that if it is a popular item, it will not be there Friday evening. It will not be there Saturday. It will not be there Sunday. It will sell out on Friday afternoon. And that was the case with some of the pieces that I wanted to get from the Artist Alley this weekend. I was very lucky. I actually got the second to last piece of something 2 hours after the convention doors opened. Second piece of that, or the flip side of that, is you could go on Sunday for the best deals. The idea being that it being the last day of the convention, the vendors, the artists might be more inclined to make a deal because they don't want to take something home. And that is true for those pieces of inventory that are still kept. And I'm sure Zoe and Mara can actually give their experience the flip side of that. That only applies, though, if those pieces are still in inventory. And if that principle from Friday has held, those pieces are not. Something that I've seen in recent marketplaces at conventions like SakuraCon and Anime Central in Seattle and Chicago, respectively. And something that I'm starting to see more in conventions in general is this presence of fashion, high fashion or otherwise. There is some of the designers at SakuraCon, like Mint Neko. They make a lot of Japanese-styled streetwear, which is really cool. Probably too cool for me to wear, but look, I ain't gonna let that stop me. Thanks, Mint Neko. And it's something that I'm really happy is showing up, because as a semi-professional weeb, the expectation is that I'm going to dress for the office in a way that means I can't wear my Dragon Ball Z airbrush shirt that I got from Hot Topic. I have to wear a shirt with a collar. I have to wear something that I can put a suit jacket on top of, or at least something that is presentable, even just kind of good-looking streetwear, as long as it looks like something that isn't super trashy, like an airbrushed Dragon Ball Z shirt from Hot Topic. And that's something that I'm also happy to say is making an appearance at Too Many Games and at more conventions. I really hope this is something that vendors take into consideration when they make their designs. A lot of artists, and again, I'm hoping that Zoe and Mara can chime in on this one, there's a lot of artists that will make their prints, and prints are wonderful, not necessarily useful to me. But if you can put that same design on a shirt or make it into a button-down somehow with a pattern associated to it. That's something that is not just useful to me, but I think is going to broaden the horizons for a lot of people that really only otherwise associate anime wear with these airbrushed Dragon Ball Z shirts from Hot Topic.
I actually do have a lot of friends that are artists that they'll create their own patterns that are anime inspired, and then they send them off to pattern making companies that will print them onto like cotton fabrics, and they'll make collared shirts and like Hawaiian style shirts, and they look gorgeous whenever they're made, because all they do is they buy the fabric, and then whenever they get them in, they make the shirts and stuff themselves. So it, you know, it has that last detail quality that they like.
And it's something that you can be expressive about your enthusiasm for this kind of community in a venue that you might not otherwise get to express it. Milk and Mocha is actually another one that I really like. They make fantastic polos, and it's a plain polo with a little stripe on the collar and a little like Milk and Mocha character on the chest.
And it's subtle enough that they're not gonna make fun of you. Like, why do you have a cat and a bear on your shirt? What the fuck?
It's cute. Like, it's not your polo alligator. It's not your whatever else comes in on these generic polos. It's something that you can be expressive with.
I mean, you could wear it in a professional setting.
That you could wear in a professional setting. Thank you.
Yeah, like if you go out and play golf with the big guys in a corporation, you're wearing a nice, cute little whatever that brand was polo, and I'm super excited for that.
I would love to wear a Milk and Mocha polo to the company golf tournament and then stink up the joint, but look cute doing it.
I think something that you mentioned that really, like, I wish a lot of conventions would do is do, like, a fashion show, I believe. I don't know if you mentioned, like, the Sakura-Con doing the fashion show, but I would honestly, like, it would be a great way to not only have a specific vendor, but multiple vendors that sell clothes be able to show off what they have.
It's great that you bring that up, Kim. It was at SakuraCon that they did have an entire main events stage with a catwalk for Mint Neko to show off their designs. It was a way for people who might not otherwise see themselves in these clothes to kind of imagine it and give them another sense of it that's more than just on a hanger.
Yeah. I would definitely enjoy something like that. And I know that, like, when, like, Versace and Dolce & Gabbana, whenever they would show their new lines, of course, the first thing they would do is they would put it on a model, be like, this isn't going to be how it hangs on a hanger. This is how it looks on you. So it's very appealing.
I mean, it also just opens up so many more doors, like sportswear, for example. There's so many designs now with bras and shorts, too, with the design of anime for those, you know,
and
gym
super
weaves.
cute bathing suits.
Yeah. The bathing suits, yeah. So it's definitely just one of the aspects I'll be talking about is the variety. Like, I love that fashion is starting to become something so huge in the dealer's room or artist alley, where you can actually buy regular clothes, where you don't have to go to a Hot Topic brand store or anything like that. It's just one person's design that's so much more different than what's out there.
Right. And actually, Mint Neko, one of Mint Neko's big thing is accessibility. They want anyone to be able to wear their apparel, whether you're an office worker or a blue-collar worker or an unemployed weed. They want you to be able to wear, as long as you can afford it. They want you to be able to wear that kind of thing.
I feel like just fashion, anime in general, that could be like a whole topic and a whole episode in and of itself, you know, because then there's the whole part about like fast fashions versus supporting local artists and all this other stuff. So there's a lot of layers with that.
So unfortunately, Dano had to leave us midway through the podcast. That's totally okay. I don't know how big that convention was.
5,000.
I think he said it was only 5,000 people. Yeah. So, like, in the aspect of buying stuff, I have had made the mistake of going on Friday and then not buying anything because I'm like, oh, I'm just looking around. And by, like, Saturday and Sunday, it's just gone. I mean, it's so hard because it's kind of different in every convention. There are some that if you don't buy it instantly, you won't see it again. There's some situations where you can wait till Saturday, Sunday. Of course, the deals that he mentioned, like Sunday... Yeah. That does tend to happen a lot with Artist Alley and also Dealer's Room, but it just depends. You might lose something that you really want.
Yeah, like I guarantee you, if there's like some obscure figurine that, oh my god, I haven't even seen this anime in so many years, I can't believe they have this. I guarantee you, if you're saying that to yourself, someone else is saying it to themselves, and they're more willing to spend the money right then and there for it.
Oh yeah. I've seen people spend like almost $700 on just figures, and then they leave, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
holy crap, excuse me?
Right?
I wish I could do that. I mean, my limit is usually like maybe 300 if possible, but 700 I'm like, or like over 1,000 I'm like,
my gosh.
oof, that's a little over the top. I did want to mention some like tips and tricks that I learned my first time attending conventions. For the first like 2 years that I started going to conventions, grab bags were so attractive to me. I constantly would spend like $100 on just grab bags. And after a while, I realized that I'm not getting the stuff that I want out of them. And sometimes it's just crap. Like, I would get, like, a cutout anime eye mask, which I would be like, okay, cool, what's the price on this? $1? On a $20 grab bag? Or just plushies that I'm like, I don't even know where it's from. I mean, it's not all bad. Of course, I did get, like, Mikasa figure out of one when Attack on Titan was, like, starting out. So that was exciting. But is it worth it? No, not to me, especially when it comes to manga. Let me tell you, the amount of times that I would get like a volume 15 of some random manga, and I'm like, yeah, I'll just add this to my collection of nothing. Like
a manga you'll probably never read, also. Outside of that
yeah,
volume.
it's just like, oh, mid-story,
Yeah,
you know, great. That's exactly what I wanted.
And it's interesting, I want to say it was WasabiCon, but I remember I did buy a couple of grab bags, but the big thing back then, and again, this was at least 7 or 8 years ago, but the big thing was grab bag trading. You would sit with a group of people.
I had so much fun.
Yeah, and those are super fun, because like you'd open up and you'd be like, I have no idea what this is, and someone else is like, oh my gosh, that's from my favorite series, I have this thing. So, you know, for something like that, it was a lot of fun. But, you know, like you said, Kim, there's a lot of times whenever it's like, I'm probably just gonna lose this on purpose. But I do want to show something that I did get in a grab bag that's like my favorite thing ever.
Oh my god. That's so cute.
Oh god. For those of you at home, because this is a podcast recording, it is an Attack on Titan body pillow with the Chibi Colossus Titan. And
That's
I got
amazing.
this 6 years ago, and I still have it, and it's comfortable as fuck. So sometimes you can get gems, right? Sometimes you can get gems like this, but other times, you know, it really is hit or miss.
But like with the grab bags, like you mentioned back then, like NDK and WasabiCon, they had some pretty choice grab bags. Like I got most of my Clamp chess set collection from grab bags alone.
Oh
I
my
have
god.
a few pieces from the
Yeah,
chess
I
set.
actually
Holy
just
shit.
threw away a couple of mine, so...
How could you do that? They are like prime collectible. If anybody has book 1, give me it. I will send, like, I need
Yeah,
book
that was
1.
the issue, is like because they were collectibles and I stopped doing the grab bags, I would less likely get them anymore. So I was like, okay, well, I don't really need this chess set. I don't even have like a chess board. So I was just like, eh.
It comes with the book 1. You have to get book 1. It gives you the chess set. I bought a chess set for my Clamp pieces
See?
at a Goodwill or an art. And it was like this beautiful marble chessboard that my niece broke like a week ago. So I'm kind of dealing through that still, but
Sometimes I do wish that conventions put more effort into making a variety with small businesses, you know? Recently, I just attended Co-op like, 2-3 months ago. And it was so awesome to see a anime pre-workout products, like a whole business around it, as well as the weightlifting belt. Wow, I've never seen that at a convention before, and the idea of it actually being there. You know, I found this boba cup one time at Artist Alley, and I bought it. And I'm like, man, I wish there was, like, more products out there, like boba cups, or, like, being able to just sell fresh food, maybe iced mochis or stuff like that.
I still hate that you can't really sell food at cons, like if you're not a vendor.
Yeah, it's FDA restrictions, it's serve safe restrictions. There are a bunch of policies that, especially whenever you're in like certain buildings, they won't permit you to sell food unless you have permission from not the convention, but the location. Yeah.
The venue.
The venue, thank you. Yes, from the venue.
Gaylord Rockies have some food trucks there, but man, they're just so expensive, and it doesn't even feel like part of the anime convention per se. Like sometimes it's
They
just
happen
a
to be
fusion of
there.
everything. Yeah, just happen to be there kind of deal. And I'm just like, some nice ice cream mochi every once in a while at a convention when it's super hot and there's so many people, or just a nice cold boba would be so nice to have.
I mean, I have seen some, not artists, but definitely vendors that they'll sell like prepackaged food like Pocky, ramune, the melon bread, the different things like that. It's not preparing the food, it's just selling packaged food.
Yeah, it's like it's not homemade.
Yeah.
Which is what I really wish like we could do, is like we're making this homemade food. It's not
Yeah.
all this like processed food that you're getting in those bags anyway. So it's
Anime
kinda probably
farmers
better for you.
markets! Sorry.
It hurts so bad that like I can't sell my own creations
Yes.
at cons like this.
That is actually an amazing idea. Those are my tips on how to survive in a non-reasonable way. But Jordan here is going to tell us what ideas he has at conventions to enter the marketplace or artist alley. Take it away, Jordan.
Hello, everyone. This is very fitting because I, in a week, am going to be at Denver Fan Expo, so I'm trying to do some of my own tips in preparation for that. And my biggest tip, on top of what Dan already spoke to about looking Friday and getting things quick versus, getting the deals on Sunday, my biggest tip, especially for first-timers, is research, and that is twofold.
Yeah.
If you have any artists online sell, whatever it's like merch or clothing or other things, it never hurts to look at their socials or if there's any official media from the con to find out if something is there, because then you can plan your budget, your process around like, ooh, I'm gonna go to this artist that I really like and try to find something that they have there. And on the other end, it's always very helpful when you first get to a con, especially if you're new, that you're gonna walk up to the first big booth and you're gonna see a ton of stuff that you like. And I highly recommend give the entire artist alley and the merchant room, the dealer's room, whatever, give it a lap or two, because you might have stars in your eyes at the first thing. You might spend something, but then, 3 stalls down, you might find something even more so that you like. You sometimes also find some weird things that you might see a booth that isn't big or might be specific just that con that isn't well advertised, or some booths, especially like the bigger ones, more like corporate, that like kind of travel around with cons, they might have things that are specific to that con. It might be, this is a Denver only merch that we have, and you're not going to find this at the San Diego Comic-Con. So I really always advise give everything a lap, do a little bit of window shopping, a little bit of online homework before if you can, and you'll probably find the things you want and some things you didn't know you want.
That is actually great advice, because I never do that. The only time I do it is when I see a figure and they're like, oh, this is blah price. And I'm like, well, let's see if Amazon has it for cheaper, because then I won't have to carry that around the whole weekend, right?
But then you also get the benefit from some places that, like, I like to get art at cons a ton, and I have no wall space for it. But you might find, oh, I can maybe get this cheaper online, but then I have to pay shipping and I have to wait and yada yada, versus you can just take it home that day.
That's
Especially
true,
if you live
yeah.
close to the con, you don't have to travel. My other thing that I want to always tack on, especially for newcomers, like going to Vegas, set a budget and set it a little higher than you think, because it's very easy if you don't have a budget or even like planned play money to bring, for you to walk away from the con and realize, oh wow, I did a little bit of impulse shopping and I spent 3 times more than I planned to. So if you're liquid enough, I recommend get some cash and just like paying cash. Plus, insider tip, the dealer's room, you can often get a deal or haggle a little bit if you have cash versus a card. Set your boundaries. Have a friend nearby that can tell you when you shouldn't buy something.
And try to stick to your con buddies, because if you walk away, someone like me might just end up buying something.
You're gonna find that crazy figure you've never seen before of, Train from Black Cat that's $60, and you buy it, and then meet your combine there like, bro.
I think I literally did that with a tarot card set.
You told me to tell you not to do that.
Like, tarot cards that I did not need, mind you, but the art was beautiful. And I walked away from Jordan and I came back with a tarot card set.
It's always cards.
It's always cards.
And also, I guess the last thing before I'll pass it off, and I hope Zoe and Mara can talk to this, but never hurts to have conversations with people at the dealer's room. Who knows, they might have weird things underneath the table that aren't displayed and off and about. If you have the time and you're not socially awkward like me, strike up a conversation.
Well, those are actually great advice that I wouldn't have thought about, Jordan. So thank you so much. It's a different perspective for everyone, too. All right, so I will kick it off to you, Mara. So I know you've done your first booth at a convention last year, is that right?
Yep.
So yeah, definitely give us a little side on being an artist.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier in the recording you called us experts or experienced, and I was about to say,
Hey,
count me
any
out of that.
experience is experience, so
Well, I
To
appreciate
be fair, Mara,
that.
I spent money at your booth. You
There
are an
you go.
expert.
Yeah, but then you kept saying I want a refund, so I don't know if that counts.
if you could put in some advice on how to actually apply for Artist Alley, maybe some items that you see are sold more often or less often in your shop. Also, if they're starting out, possibly like expectations wise, how it would look.
Yeah, so from a vendor's point of view, one of my advices is when you're just starting, look for a list of cons that you want to go to. For me, I didn't want to go outside of Colorado. I don't even want to go past Denver. So anything in like Colorado Springs was just out. I wasn't even going to apply. So like look for those cons, make that list, and plan early. Because some of those cons either sell out or like you won't be able to get a booth a month or 2 months before the con. So you need to plan early on that list that you made. I guess another tip that I have for that is when you're setting up your booth or trying to set up what you want to look like at a con, try setting it up at home. If you have the measurements for the booth that you're going to sell at, because some booths might be different depending on the con, those sizes might differ, try setting it up at home with the same sizing. Limit yourself to what it's going to look like, what they told you the description of the area is going to be, because that way you're not freaking out like I did at NDK, saying, oh, I have these things to set up, but I didn't really plan how I wanted my booth to look, so it kind of looked pretty bare. Now I'm planning for all of my booths depending on the size that I have and the space that I have. So I know I want to set up, I want to put things higher above my head, and I want to put some things on the table. I want bowls here for like tiny little things that you can just grab. Those tiny little details really help before you get to the actual con.
I agree 100%. I personally have never done a practice setup, and there's so many times whenever I wish I had taken the time to do it, because whenever I get there, I'm like, crap, do I need to put my jewelry here? Do I put my goggles over here? How am I going to do this? I'm so lost right now, and there's been many, many times when I'm like, I should have done this at home, and I never have. Perfect piece of advice, honestly.
One of the other pieces that and this is again because my first con was like, it went well, but it probably could have gone better if I planned it out, really was like, know what you want to take. And as far as knowing what you want to take, think about what's coming to the con, what kind of con you're going to be selling at. If you're going to sell prints and there's going to be voice actors there, or like specific anime meetups, sell for those meetups, sell for those voice actors. Have your prints that already match that idea. For me, it's kind of difficult because I only draw what I like, not what everybody else likes. And I only make things that I think are cute. So that kind of makes it difficult for me as far as like planning ahead of what I want to sell at a con. But that probably works for a lot of you other vendors out there, or looking to be vendors out there.
Obviously, there are a lot of people that like the same stuff as anybody. So never feel discouraged of just being like, oh, because Attack on Titan is popular, I should start making prints of Attack on Titan and stuff like that. Do what you love, because this is something that you love doing, and don't feel forced to have to make keychains or stickers from different stuff that you've never watched.
Glad you brought that up too, because I guess my last little tip really is find something unique that you made or want to make to sell, because a lot of booths or a lot of cons will have similar things. You're going to find those keychains and they're all kind of look the same. The difference really is the art, but all the characters are the same. So find that little unique thing that you want to sell that nobody else has, that you haven't seen at a con yet, and try and sell it.
That's true. I do have a friend who also is a vendor, and she makes Sailor Scouts with horror-themed characters. So she makes like a Freddy Krueger Sailor Scout, and I'm like, I absolutely love it. Who doesn't come up with that idea? And it's like beautiful. So, like, when you guys apply for an actual booth, do they ask anything specific? Like, do you have to have a full website where you can buy your stuff, or just, like, social medias where they ask where they could see their
It
products?
really depends, because I've had some, they're like, link your Instagram, link your Facebook, so that we can see what it is that you sell. And there are some that are just like, give us a basic rundown, a description that could go in our publications.
And that aspect, Zoe, go ahead and give us your tips and tricks as a vendor.
Well, I would say for selling in an artist alley, I think one of the biggest things first is to research how do other artists have their booths set up. Because a lot of my stuff is 3D, so I don't really need the backdrop, but I do need to have high presentations. Levels are great because it gives people a lot of things to look at. It's not just a flat surface. And researching how other similar artists have their booths set up is a great way to garner some inspiration for how you might want your booth set up. Like I said, one big thing about being an artist is finding your own unique style, but also don't worry so much about what other people are selling. If you want to do prints, if you want to do stickers, that's great. If you would rather do steampunk resin pieces, if you're taking interest in it, it's very possible that other people will like what you're selling. You know, it really doesn't matter. Even if it's something that seems niche, it's gonna sell. As far as for applying for cons, especially for newer artists, I think one of the biggest things is try and find smaller or newer conventions. A good place to start is actually for college conventions, because not only are they smaller, because it's a college campus, it's still going to be a pretty good crowd, and also more than likely it's going to be a first come first serve, so you don't have to worry about the anxiety of panel jury or NDK was doing. It was a lottery. Yeah. So you don't have that anxiety of, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to get into this or not. It's literally, if you have the money for the table, you pay, you're guaranteed, you're in. And I always find that that's a much bigger relief whenever you can plan months and months ahead of time instead of, oh, this con's like a month and a half away. And whenever you are attending the convention, setup for artists is always going to be at least 2 to 3 hours, maybe even the day before the convention is actually open. So you're going to see and you're going to meet a lot of other local artists. Always be kind, always be courteous, try to make friends. These are people that have the exact same interests you do. You might disagree on whether One Piece is the worst anime or not, but you're definitely going to have something to talk about. And with being an artist in general, that is also going to be a great networking opportunity. And you're going to see these people again. If you plan on going to multiple conventions, you're definitely going to see a lot of the same people. So you could become lifelong friends with them. It's a great way to make new friends. And it's also, like I said, great networking opportunities because they might know about other conventions you haven't heard about or markets that you can apply for, different things like that. So it's always great just meeting new people. While you're doing your convention, do you have snacks? Do you have water? If not, is there someone that came with you? Do you have a table partner? Do you have someone that can just watch the table for 10, 15 minutes? They know where your money box is. They know basic rundown of your product so they can explain if you have any customers while you're away. If not, then there's also the possibility of some conventions could have artist alley assistants. Basically, people that are specifically there to watch an artist's table while they're away. And I mean, if you don't want them to do anything with your table, you can tell them, just watch the stuff, make sure no one takes anything. I will be right back. It gives you an opportunity to take a break, step away from your table, and worst case scenario, you just set out a sign that says, be back soon, you know? And, but bringing your own snacks, making sure you have enough water is number one priority because you will be behind that table for 8+ hours for 3 whole days. That can get very tiring and it can also get very boring. So along with that, if you have a switch that you can bring with you or something to keep you occupied, try and do that because sometimes it could be a while between customers. And the last thing I would say is also to be open with trading with other artists. And again, this is kind of part of the networking. If you see an artist and they have stuff that you like and you have stuff that they like, there's always the opportunity to trade. The last convention that I was at, Retromania, I traded a couple of pair of goggles for some books and I got a t-shirt and I got a little succulent plant. It's just a lot of fun just to be around other artists and be able to have these opportunities.
Well, unfortunately, since Dano did have to leave a little bit early, it'll just be the four of us saying goodbye to our listeners. But as always, if you guys have better advice or have anything else that we didn't touch on, please email us. We would love to read your emails and be able to make episodes on what you guys would give out as tips and tricks for Dealer's Room and Artist Alley that we didn't touch on. Again, our email is anime.tpodcast@gmail.com. But as always, we are also on social media that you can also look at and send us a quick message. But for today's episode, that is all we have. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and catch you on the next episode. Bye.
So long. Thank you. Bye.